Hey everyone, welcome back. This is the EdgeVerse Techcast. We appreciate you coming here and listening to find out about everything related to NXP software, tools, and enablement for the NXP microcontrollers and processors. I'm one of your co-hosts, Kyle Dando, and today I'm excited. We're diving into the world of Zephyr Development inside of Visual Studio Code.
And I'm your other co-host, Bridgette Stone. If you've ever worked with Zephyr and thought, there's a lot of moving parts here, you're going to really enjoy this episode. We're joined by someone who's been making that entire experience easier for developers. Welcome to the show, Georgiana Boglis.
Yeah, hello. My name is Georgiana Boglis, and I'm a software engineer at NXP Romania, based on the Bucharest site. Over the years, I've been involved in the development of several IDE tools, including CodeWarrior and MCUXpresso IDE. Right now, I'm part of the team that's working to develop MCUXpresso for Visual Studio Code.
So, Georgiana, you've been deep in this space for a while. What does a day in the life look like when you're working on Zephyr Enablement?
Honestly, it might differ very much. Some days we may be focused heavily on development, writing code, testing features, fixing bugs, while other days could be more about the planning. We're prioritizing upcoming features, we're breaking down high-level requirements into smaller actionable tasks, or reviewing feedback from our users or marketing. As for the Zephyr enablement, we aim to provide an all-in-one development solution for Zephyr developers with just our extension and our installer. Because the MCUXpresso Installer is responsible for the setup and update of all the tools necessary for development. Meanwhile, the extension provides easy environment setup, creation and importing of projects, configuring, building, flashing, debugging, with debugger tools such as JLink, Link Server, or PA Micro. Our extension allows users to create and import projects and offers them the flexibility to work with either existing boards or to develop support for new boards. The extension allows users to configure projects via the DeviceTree view, where the users can edit, view, and define hardware configuration files. As for the configuring build time options and system settings for Zephyr projects, we integrated Kconfig support. Through it, we're allowing the users to have a graphical interface to explore, modify, and validate configuration options without needing to actually manually edit configuration files. For building the project, we are using CMake, but if West Command is more of your style, you can use the extension to open an integrated terminal with all the environment set up and ready to use. While we do offer a graphical interface for flashing and debugging, the integrated terminal is a solution that supports West for those who prefer a CLI workflow.
So what I'm hearing is that all of you have worked or thought through every possible path a Zephyr developer might take, from creating projects, importing them, configuring DeviceTree, Kconfig, CMake, and even supporting West for the command line purists. That's a lot of ground covered. Okay, so now I have to ask, with all of that, how do you decide what makes it into each monthly release?
Okay, we do have monthly updates. So each month starts with just planning for the next release. We review requirements from customers, marketing, and even from our own engineering team. Because we also maintain a list of improvements and nice to have features we're generally excited to work on. Once we prioritize and select the features that we want for the upcoming release, we dive into use case analysis. That's especially for the more complex features. We brainstorm for scenarios to ensure usability, and then we move into the development. I was saying before that MCUXpresso for VS Code is actually a VS Code extension. So we're developing using TypeScript and React. After that, we go through the testing phase, and finally, we apply any necessary fixes or enhancements we may find.
All right. Well, I've been sitting here listening to all that you do, Georgiana, and it's impressive. I think you would also say you're part of a very nice team in Bucharest, correct?
Yeah, yes, I am.
I was fortunate enough to visit you last month, and just the work that all of you have done, you've done a great job summarizing it. But why don't you step back a second? Can you tell us how long have you and the team been working on this Zephyr enablement for the VS Code extension?
Okay. Our team started working on Zephyr enablement about 3 years ago. I was involved in the process right from the start, actually.
Yes, you were. I know. We've had lots of exchanges, lots of meetings in the early morning and the late afternoon. So 3 years is a serious investment that you and NXP has taken. In that time, I would like you to share what has been the biggest challenge. You know, a lot of people out there just get the final product and they say, gosh, this is great, or they maybe find something they don't like about it. But it's a big task. So what has been the hardest thing that you and the team have tackled?
Okay. While I wouldn't necessarily call it the hardest things, one of the challenges we did face early on in the Zephyr enablement was adapting our project model to better fit the needs of the developers and provide the common user experience across all of our supported software repositories, included MCUXpresso SDK and Matter. Initially, each project was tied to a single board. This was similar to how MCUXpresso examples were structured. But it quickly became clear that Zephyr developers often need to switch boards within the same project, depending on their hardware target. So, to support this flexibility, we had to rethink how the build system worked behind the scenes. So for us, that meant updating our CMake integration to use presets instead of CMake kits and allowing board selection per build configuration, because we didn't have that in the beginning. To make this change intuitive, we began designing the build configuration feature to provide a simple visual way to manage all those settings. Today, the build configuration UI is more complex and more customizable. For examples and projects are no longer hard linked to a specific board, giving the user the flexibility they need to test across multiple platforms and to develop across multiple platforms without having to switch between the projects.
Thanks for sharing that story. Very cool about seeing how the team pivoted quickly, and appreciate you sharing a nice answer for a very tough question from Kyle. All right, I'm going to pivot a little bit. So Zephyr rolls out new releases pretty regularly. 4.2 is the latest. What did the NXP team do inside the VS Code extension to support that update?
So indeed, 4.2 is the latest, and 4.3 will very soon follow. But specifically for 4.2, we've updated the minimum tool requirements to ensure the compatibility. For us, that meant updating the Python version from 3.9 to 3.10, to updating the CMake version, to updating the DeviceTree compiler. And yes, I know this doesn't sound impressive, but to put things into perspective, Zephyr comes with an ecosystem of tools the developer needs to set up. And there's a lot of them. So we have Git, we have Ninja, we have West, we have wget, pip, Zephyr SDK, DeviceTree compiler, and we even have some Zephyr Python dependencies. I might be missing something. It can be intimidating and time consuming, and especially when you're starting out as a Zephyr developer. And here is where things get interesting. We have a solution for that. Our MCUXpresso installer is able to perform an initial setup and even update when needed all those tools needed by Zephyr. So if you want to get started with the installer, you simply need to open it, to select Zephyr developer profile, and just click on install, and you will install all the required tools. If a new Zephyr becomes available, like we have now with the version 4.2, The installer will automatically detect any required updates and allow the user to update by just going there, clicking a button. So it's a very simple process.
That's extremely helpful. And honestly, anyone who has ever set up Zephyr from scratch knows it can be a journey. Having the installer handle all of that makes just such a huge difference.
Yes, from this point on, to actually start working with the Zephyr version 4.2, the user simply needs to import Zephyr using our import repository wizard. If he does that, the latest release will appear as the selected option, but you can go to an older version if you want. You can go to the main branch if you want the newest changes. Yes, whether you're starting to develop a Zephyr application for the first time or you want to update the Zephyr version, you don't really need to worry about setting up all the tools or updating all the tools or what are the required versions. You just need to use the MCUXpresso installer and you're good to go.
Yeah, you can't talk about the MCUXpresso installer enough. It is a huge, yeah, it's a huge benefit. What I tell the customers is it's not hard for one engineer to follow the Zephyr instructions. I think the benefit to a large customer is when they have 30 software engineers and they all have to be on the same platform and have consistent development. The MCUXpresso installer allows a uniform and a consistent installation in all of their developers. So you don't have one engineer either slowing the group down because his system's not set up properly, or maybe introducing some unnecessary errors because they don't have the right version of a tool. So it's very, very valuable. So thanks for giving us the rundown on that, Georgiana.
Thank you. Yeah, you're right. Actually, that's a use case also.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are other solutions for it, but I think the MCUXpresso installer is a very excellent solution. I have one question. You are a very busy young lady. What are you working on right now for the next release? You've mentioned Zephyr 4.3. Are there any features in general that you're excited about that are going to be introduced for the customers?
Yeah, of course, we're working on a lot of things actually. As future improvements, we're continuing to build upon the capabilities of Application Code Hub, that is a centralized repository that is developed by NXP, that offers a collection of software examples, code snippets, demos, application packs for MCUXpresso microcontrollers and microprocessors. It's designed to help developers to quickly discover and reuse high quality, ready to run code created by NXP and partners. Currently, we support importing Zephyr applications. We plan to enhance this flow and expand support for even more Zephyr examples. Another exciting feature in development is the integration with NXP configuration tools. In the upcoming releases, we aim to enable direct access to NXP pin configuration capabilities right from the MCUXpresso for VS Code dashboard, streamlining hardware setup and this way reducing the context switching. We're also working to expand build configuration flexibility for Zephyr projects. MCUXpresso for VS Code already allows users to customize key parameters such as target board, build directory, optimization level, build type, the configuration files, debug console. This is making the project setup and management more efficient and adaptable to different workflows. And then there is RTOS awareness. This is a debugging feature that allows developer to visualize and inspect the internal state of real-time operating system during a debug session. For Zephyr projects, this includes viewing active threads, their state, their priorities, and the stack usage directly from the IDE.
Okay, well, RTOS awareness, or as I like to say, RTOS awesomeness, is such a cool feature. So being able for the developer to see what's going on inside the system while debugging their code makes a huge difference.
Yes, Kyle. It could be called that. In MCUXpresso for VS Code, RTOS awareness is automatically enabled for Zephyr project when using link server or PA micro debug probes. While for Segger JLink, It requires setting a property in the debug configuration, and that's it. We're actively working to expand and enhance the RTOS awareness support, making it even more seamless and insightful for enabled developers working for Zephyr and other RTOS platforms.
This has all been super insightful, and we thank you for sharing your knowledge. And now I want to just ask about getting started. We like to usually end on this style of question. If someone wants to try Zephyr and VS Code using our extension, what's the easiest path?
Okay. Getting started with MCUXpresso for VS Code and Zephyr Development is actually quite simple. You can find and install the extension directly from the Visual Studio Code Marketplace. Just search for MCUXpresso for VS Code. You will see it's developed by NXP Semiconductors, and install it from there. Once installed, the extension will automatically detect if the MCUXpresso installer is missing and will prompt you to install it. You should do that because you get a lot of features and all the tools installation and update I was talking about. After the setup of the installer, it will always be accessible from the Quick Start panel. From there, you can set up your tools, update tool chains, SDKs, and or any other Zephyr dependencies. If you need some help along the way, we also have documentation available, and you can find it directly in the Quick Start panel. The documentation includes getting started guide, features overviews, and technical details that should help you to get the most of your development experience.
Well, thank you very much, Georgiana. This has been a great walkthrough. You've done a tremendous job sharing with our listeners what you've been working on with Zephyr. I'd like to just thank you. I've had many conversations with you, email exchanges, team conversations, and you're always very responsive. You've been very helpful, not only to me, but a lot of the users that are posting feedback. You and the team have made our Zephyr enablement super powerful. You and the team should be very proud of what you've accomplished.
Wow, thank you very much. Very nice of you to say that.
No, it's the least we can do. For our listeners, I hope you have learned a lot today about our Zephyr enablement. Georgiana has done a great job talking about all of the different things that is taken into consideration when VS Code is working with your Zephyr project and how they've set up the complete developer experience. If you're comfortable working with Zephyr, our Visual Studio Code extension is going to do a great job of inviting you. If you're unfamiliar with Zephyr and you've never tackled this hot, impressive, rapidly expanding ecosystem, I'd say take a look at the MCUXpresso for VS Code extension. More importantly, the installer. As Georgiana mentioned, it will take your new experience into Zephyr and make it a very positive one.
Georgiana, we really appreciate you hanging out with us today. Thank you. And thanks for sharing all the hard work your team's been doing.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really had a good time.
All right. And thanks to all of our listeners. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this conversation. We hope to see you next time. And until then, everyone, download MCUXpresso for VS Code. Look at all the impressive things that Georgiana did for Zephyr. And until next time, we'll see you on the EdgeVerse Techcast.